Welcome to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden. Good to see you back. Hope your season was a good one as well. I'm glad you could join me, and you will be glad you could join me because this week, road warrior Randy Schultz, author, podcaster, the guy does it all, but most important to us, he hunts a lot, and we'll learn something from him, not only about hunting, but about traveling to hunt. This guy spends more time in his truck cab than an over-the-road 18-wheeler driver. Randy's a good friend, and it's been a while since we've gotten together, so I'm looking forward to getting caught up, and you will enjoy his insights into the world of bird dogs and birds. Stick around for that. Our Fix It segment this week, I'm going to help you with one of the hardest shots I faced all season, and maybe you too. I'm no shooting instructor, but I've got a hack for you that might help you hit those hard crossing birds. And then finally, on our social media segment, I shared a picture of me with my young dog at the time and a kind of a first, a milestone, and I asked you to do the same. Find a picture that really kind of sums up your relationship with your dog. I'll share those with you as well, and we'll get some incredible, great stories from some of you out there who shared on social media. It's all coming up right here on the Upland Nation podcast, made possible by Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes tubes, Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food, Sage and Breaker gun care products, CableGangz tie-out systems, and Pointer shotguns. Love what you bring to the table, so to speak, when we're on social media having discussions of one sort or another. Try to keep them positive. There's a lot of the opposite out there. We don't need any more of that. This time of the year, we're looking back, and whether it took place this most recent season or some other season, you have a memory, and sometimes memories are jogged best by photos. I was going through one of my sets of photos and found one of me with at the time he was a very young dog, 7 or 8 months. Manny was his name. This wire hair had everything going for him, conformation, drive. And this was the first pheasant he'd ever brought back. Well, he'd ever pointed, for that matter. We caught it on the afternoon of a television shoot, of all things. But it worked out well for all of us, and Manny went on to a great career in the field and wonderful, wonderful memories. So I shared mine. I'm kneeling down, taking that bird from him, but letting him savor it for a while. And that's what I suggested on your social post, is to savor that memory one more time. So here we go. Let's take a look at some of your suggestions and comments, your contributions and memories. Right at the top, George Cummins, thanks for that great picture of you and Samson on a country road. Where else? South Dakota. 2 beautiful pheasants in hand, and Samson a little bit tired, but wouldn't we all be? Olson's Gun Dogs shares Apollo's first pheasant at 11 months. A very proud feeling. Yes, absolutely. Along a tree row there in a field, probably somewhere in pheasant country. Lance Larson, great memory. And how many others have memories about maybe a more competitive situation, a field trial or a hunt test or something like that? I'll always remember the first time I took my old dog Yankee to a NASTRA trial and sitting there in the spectator area after our run and looked up at the scoreboard, and we weren't last. That's all that mattered. But for Lance Larson, Zane, and a water break picture They're in the desert. You're probably taking a lot of those, aren't you? Did very well. In fact, over 20 dogs entered, and Zane won 3 chukkers in 13 minutes at a chukker challenge competitive event. Good on both of you. Grant Goblish considers every step I take behind this dog the best moment. A true partner, calm, cool, and collected, not just in it for himself. Absolutely. Good dog, relaxing on the tailgate. That setter is just a beautiful dog. It has some of the coloring of one of our old corgis from way back, by the way. No, I mean that in the best way, honest. Chris Lee Hamby, this was the best moment behind May. First time sage grouse hunting and made a 70-yard retrieve. Don't you love them? She is the best. You have to love a German wire-haired pointer. Yes, I do. And so do many of you. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Chris. Nancy Buchholz, Devil's Mountain High Brass and his first wild rooster at 8 months. Beautiful wire hair. Yes, coming out of I bet it's a CRP field. There's a little bit mowing there. It makes life a little bit easier for the human hunters. Good dog, high brass. Juniper's first harvest from Brian Sadler. Well, it's sideways on the Facebook page, but if you can't figure it out, then just think about how corny that picture really is. Okay, if you're listening, it is an ear of corn. And finally, Mark Root shares his GWP on last year's hunt. Pile of birds, a shotgun in the foreground. The dog is pretty tired, tongue hanging out on a beautiful, lush piece of grass with some tree lines in the background. Man, I wish I was there. Thanks so much, Mark Root, for that one as well. You know, I just cannot thank you all enough for sharing all of that good stuff with us in so many ways over the course of the podcast. And now that we're sometimes on video, we can all enjoy it a lot more because your photos really bring to life the reasons we go. Thanks again. And everybody else, don't hesitate to get over there and just look at you may troll my pages all you like, because it's all about sharing. You want to get involved? All the better. That portion of the program has been brought to you by Pointer Shotgun. Some new exciting stuff coming out of there. They got a new Field Tech 912 over and under that is incredible. I got to play with it a little bit at the SHOT Show. Boy, oh boy, is it nice. The fit and finish, unbelievable. You can get it in a nickel silver receiver or a traditional blued receiver. Barrels are all blued. And the nice thing about this gun, if you're looking to go from Dad's old pump or your single shot, or maybe you're looking to gift somebody their first over and under, whatever it is, $739 is a suggested retail price. A beautiful over and under shotgun for $739. Take a look at it. Get all the specifications at pointershotguns.com. Yeah, learn more about the new FT912 at pointershotguns.com. Well, and now that the season is over, maybe you are maybe one of your resolutions is to take better care of your shotgun. You could do worse than to stock in a bunch of sage and breaker supplies for that, whether it's tools, consumables, all the lubricants of various sorts, and then, of course, storage opportunities from cases of all sorts. The best companies, and Sage and Breaker is one of them, are problem solvers. These guys are bird hunters just like us. They look at the same situations we do every day, and they try to help you cope with them in one way or another. Whether it's a non-toxic cleaning, lubricating, and protecting spray, a firearms grease that sticks longer and lubricates better, take a look at all their products at sageandbreaker.com. That's sageandbreaker.com. Well, we got a lot of catching up to do. Randy Schultz, author, blogger, road warrior, and fellow hunter of many states. Welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast.
Thanks, Scott. Good to be here.
It's good to hear your voice again. We're essentially wrapping up the season. Most of us are mostly done most of the time. But how did it go for you?
Well, it was, I've come to realize over the years that my seasons revolve mostly around my dogs.
Yeah.
That being, if I've got 3 or 4 fit and broke dogs, totally trained dogs, then my season goes well. And this year I was down to a 3-year-old that's on the ragged edge of control, an 8-year-old that's just doing great. He was sort of my bedrock dog. And I've got a 12-and-a-half-year-old that's retired, and when he wants to go, he can go, but it's going to be a short hunt. So basically I was down to 1.5 dogs, and, it went okay. Some places that I thought in past years have had a lot of birds were veritable deserts, and they didn't have any birds at all, which is unusual. And I didn't shoot as many birds, but I did have a lot of fun time with my bird dogs, which when it comes right down to it, it's why I do it. So it was okay. I guess probably an average season. So
I would echo almost all of that, except I've only got that middle dog, and he's showing his age a little bit. So I'm hoping that we'll win the argument real soon on the next dog.
Good luck. Good luck with that. Yeah. I've really found when you're talking about that it's not something that's something very shiny and very hard can't fix. And, you go out, let her go to the jewelry store, you're going to have a puppy. No problem.
Well, the last one came when I was in crisis, if you will. And just last night, it was crisis enough to get her to broach the subject. So,
oh my God.
Last time I did that, I left the room immediately and started making phone calls. I probably should have done the same last night.
Yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity. You can't, you got to partake on that.
Yeah. So, So the young dog, first off, are they all of the same breed, and what are you running these days?
Yeah, they're all Brittany's.
Yep.
They're all Brittany's. Yeah. And my 2 bedrocks, Cap and Ruby, passed away over the last 2 years. They aged out, thankfully. They did, no accidents or anything. And they both passed away at old age. And so the third dog, Shaq, is a male Brittany, and wonderful, wonderful dog. He's, in fact, I'm looking at him right now. He's inside. My oldest dogs, all my dogs are housebroken. They can all come in the house.
Sure.
But my oldest dogs are full time in the house, and so that right now that's Shaq, and so he's the middle dog is Blue, 8-year-old, and he is just dead broke. A wonderful bird dog, and then Jade, or I call her JD, is my young dog, and she is a classic example of training a dog with love, and it doesn't work. And she is, it can't be all praise. So she and I are both realizing that there's some times when you just have to make them pay attention. I'll just leave it at that. And so now she's coming along just fine, and really, really. I smile when I watch her run. She's doing everything well. It's like whack-a-mole. Every time something really, really looks good, something else pops up, and that's just a normal bird dog operation, I think. So,
the folks who know more about that stuff than us will will remind us that when we watch the National Geographic special on wolves, there is a version of tough love out there, even in the pack, and we have to deliver that once in a while. It doesn't need to be overdone, but there do need to be limits.
Yeah, there do. I mean, there have to be, and she. I don't want to go too deep in this right now, but she has taken to just. She's an incredible retriever. Incredible. Just the desire is amazing. I mean, her pointing and backing and that stuff is all excellent too, but she will bring birds back to me, and then right at the end, 10 feet away, she'll start circling me with that bird in her mouth. Oh, and you can see the smoke coming off my head, and I force broke her, but she just, and so on the spot, you're not going to fix it. And I know that. And so we are right now back to basics, and she's actually responding fairly well. But that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
it's always something.
Absolutely, it is, and then it's funny because that was one of the big challenges with me. And then I had a flash. Well, of course they do great on opening day, but by the end of the season, they're laying back on a bunch of things. When I taught my current dog how to retrieve, we started on the table, and I, hey, say what you will, but I'm a believer in at some point food is a great motivator, and I use it. I found myself holding my hand with a food treat over my head. The dog would come up onto the table. He would look up at that, and if you're looking up at that, you can't drop the bird out of your mouth. So I started holding my hand up. In fact, I was on a Hungarian partridge hunt, the last day of the season. And I did that, and every single bird, I shot more than one, which is remarkable. Every single bird was delivered to hand. It's just a hack. It's not the right way to do it, but there you are in front of God and everybody. And
whatever works. Yeah. And I've heard that the food motivator. I've heard more and more people using it. I have been against it because when I started training bird dogs back, Richard Walters, remember him?
Oh, I got his book, and I've talked to his mentee many times.
Yeah, and he was 100% against it, and so but things change, and so I'm going to try using that with JD right now. And the thing that really stings me in the field, that's fine. I could just take a couple steps, walk over to her, get the bird, put the bird in my bag, and here we go. But it happened in a field trial with about 100 of my closest best friends watching, and they all got a hoot out of that. And I'm trying. I know not to be upset. I know this is my fault, and I need to fix it later. But and that's what I'm doing. But it just made it worse. It just made it worse.
Isn't that the truth? Well, I can. I related in the introduction to this podcast how I did a NASTRA trial once many years ago with another dog that wasn't near as good as the one I have now, and when I was done, I looked at the scoreboard and I was not last, and I thought that's enough reason to celebrate. So.
Not last. Well, that's good.
They don't hand out a ribbon for that, but they should.
They should.
I touted you as a road warrior because you do travel a lot. You travel as much as I do, probably some seasons even more by a long shot. Where did you go this year?
I started. In the past 20 years, I've started Montana on opening day, September 1st.
Yeah.
And for the past 20 years, I get out there and I cuss myself because it's just too hot.
Yeah.
So this year I held off to the third week of September, which, it was hard for me, but third week of September, it's going to be warm, but maybe it'll be cool. They could get some cold weather. So I went out there to Montana, third week of September, hunted a week, and then the 1st of October, I went down to Wyoming. We had a little grouse camp down there.
Oh, yeah.
We met down there. There's probably 10 of us, and some guys brought their wives, and I met some new people. I enjoyed everybody because we got to split up and hunt with different people every day, and it was wonderful. So, and they were having a banner year for Huns, Hungarian partridge.
Great.
Not so great on chukar, although we did get into some. And sage grouse season, we actually it's amazing to me that Wyoming has more sage grouse than any state in the country, and has the shortest season of any state in the country.
Sure.
But it's anyway, we got into some sage grouse too, but the Huns were there, and so I did that, Montana, and then Wyoming, and I drove back through South Dakota. And couldn't hunt. Season wasn't open yet. Actually, the grouse season started September 1st. So
yeah.
I went out through the grasslands, and for some reason I didn't put out. I think it was that I got a call from the "When You Coming Home" call from my wife, and they cut that hunt a little bit short. So I headed home, and we had an agreement, my wife and I, that she was never supposed to do that. So the way she gets around it is, she called me and she said, I was out with my girlfriends the other day, and they were asking when you were going to come home. I said, honey, that's not fair.
No, it is not. That is against the rules, but they make the rules. So,
well, that's true.
That would be
true. I'm going to refer you back to the puppy thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
They make the rules. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
But so. Then the next month, it was the end of October. I went out to South Dakota and hunted there. Had a great time. Banner year for grouse, prairie chickens, and sharptails. Did a little pheasant hunting, but that's not my thing. I mean, if a pheasant gets up in front of me, I'll shoot it. But, I don't just go out to pheasant hunt. It's those chickens and sharptails.
Yep.
And then I went back to Montana again for 4 or 5 days. And then I went down to Wyoming again.
Jeez.
So, yeah. It was just, Wyoming is, I got to be real careful here because I don't want to hotspot anything. But Wyoming's a big state. And Wyoming is dangerous. Wyoming is wild, and there's nobody there. And if you break down in Wyoming, you could easily spend the night wherever you are.
Yeah.
Maybe several nights. And the country's rugged. So, I love the place. I love it. I love it to death. I love it more than Montana. But I like Montana a lot as well. So those are the two places I went in the fall. And then in December, I did the New Mexico, Arizona thing. And that's when I realized that the Arizona was just a wasteland. They did not get a monsoon.
Yep.
Every place I went, I put a day and I walked 4 miles in Mearns country and never saw a bird.
Wow.
And that may not seem like much. I mean, really, people go out there for weeks. But the telling fact about that is where I normally go, there'll be campers, there'll be hunters, there was nobody there. Nobody. And my friend and I hunted a place where we've never been skunked in 20 years. Never got one covey up. So Mearns was way down. The desert birds were way down. Talked to a friend of mine that hunts in California. He lives in California, but he hunts Arizona. And he said, Randy, in 6 days, we've only seen just a few tracks. And they did finally get into a couple of coveys, but Arizona was just real bad. And so I retreated to New Mexico, where I've got some really nice spots in New Mexico. And the desert part of New Mexico was horrible. It was just horrible.
Oh.
Not even any tracks. So, I mean, I know there's birds there. There are some, but, they're not in the quantities where you're going to go out and have a good hunt. Let me put it that way. Well, it wasn't until – go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, carry on, and then I'll give you my lament.
Sure. It wasn't until I got east of the white sands. It goes up into the mountains there.
Yeah, I know those mountains.
Comes out of the Yep. And I should have looked them up. I need to know the name of them. But east of those mountains, and from the east of the mountains all the way into Texas, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good hunting. And the grass was high. They got a ton of rain, and sand spurs were horrible. But that's just part of hunting in New Mexico. Yeah. And I keep getting, and I'm staying with friends out there at his house, and he keeps sending me these pictures now. The tailgate's loaded with birds, and I keep telling him, Bobby, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. I can't come back out. But I did get into a lot of birds there, and all blue quail. We spent one day. He has friends over in Texas. I bought a one-day license, so went over to Texas to hunt, and it was incredible. We moved 7 coveys of bobwhites on a 75-degree day in one afternoon. It was just, that's a good day. It was fun.
Spectacular.
Texas is loaded with birds this year. So
I've heard, I've heard exactly the same thing about the same places. As this is recorded, I was supposed to be down in Arizona, but I'm not. And that's the reason. Yeah. Everybody said, don't do it. And I took them at their word. I've been there. I've done that. I don't need to be down there in a bad year. But but you said something that really rang true. We were primarily chukar hunting this season. We went primarily to places we hadn't been before. And by we, I don't mean the royal we. I mean my buddies and I. But we saw lots of good ground, and we started hearing the same things you've just described. We didn't kill near as many birds, but I remember one particular climb we did. We got to the top, and it was, if you could look up chukar habitat in the dictionary, this is the picture that you'd see there. And sign all over and not a single bird. And so you start wondering as you're climbing back down the hill 4 hours later, what the heck was different this year than last year? And you described some of that. There was, especially in Arizona, rain at the wrong time or not at all. I think we had some of that as well. People seem to forget that there's more than one time in the year for each species that you need the right amount of rain. And there are other times when you don't want any rain. And and they just get unlucky once in a while. So we might go back to that spot. Next year it may just be covered up with birds. You just don't know. Yep.
And also what happened to me last year in it was Montana. I hunted around an area that I'd been hunting for years and years, and just old, reliable, and not a bird, not a sharptail.
Yep.
And then I started talking to some of the local guys, and they go, "Oh yeah. This summer there was a thunderstorm that started over there, and it was 20 miles wide, and it left a path of about 50 miles long of huge hail." Wow. Yeah. And it was when the chicks were out, and it just killed them.
Yeah.
Not 100% of them, but a significant portion of them. And you just don't know. And when you got there, the habitat was beautiful, but, nothing, no birds.
I heard that as well a couple of times. People would say, oh, man, I mean, it looks so good. The cover is just right. But they weren't there, like you said, right after the hailstorm.
Yeah.
Everybody, you're listening to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm the host, Scott Linden. That's my friend and guest, Randy Schultz. I introduced you, Randy, at the very beginning as an author, and I know you've been working really hard on some of that stuff. Essentially, it's a series now, but you tell us a little bit about where we are in the Endless October.
I've got the book 3 is out. It's cleverly called Endless October 3, the finish, and bird dogs, old trucks, and a 28 gauge. And what I've done is I've taken the first two books. I've got a lot of feedback on the stories there, and I took sort of a best of out of those, put it in there, and added many, many more new stories and put them all in there for this book. I call it the finish because I'm not so sure there's going to be another book in the series, but as I'm sort of aging out here, I hate to say that, but you never know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, you could start drafting the fourth, and that'll be Reason to Live.
Oh yeah, that and a puppy. I need to tell that to my wife. I need that and a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first two and this one, they're all out on paperback and Kindle, and I've got the first two on audiobook. This one is about halfway through on the audiobook. So actually, it's funny about audio, Scott. A lot of people buy the audiobook and never touch a paperback or a Kindle.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be the other way around. And I was totally wrong. I thought the paperback would be the thing, or maybe Kindle, because a lot of people read Kindle books. But I've had so many requests. When are you going to get, the third version out on audio? When are you going to get on audio? I had a guy, I was at a field trial in South Georgia, and a guy drove over from Birmingham to buy 3 of my books, get them autographed. And he said, another reason I came over here, he was a retired neurosurgeon or something. He said, another reason I came over here was to plead with you to get the audiobook out for your third book. He said, because that's what I listen to when I go bird hunting.
Yeah.
Apparently, I was totally wrong. Apparently, the audiobook is more in demand than any of the other versions. So,
well, I'm not surprised. It coincides with the whole concept of podcasts, of course. Some of us remember the good old days when they were actually books on tape. Now they're not. But I'm just looking now, and then I'm thinking, well, my publisher offers an audio version, and it's a lot less expensive than the hard copy. And
well, there's ins and outs to that.
Yeah, I know.
I got a real story about how to do an audiobook and how you get paid, and they own the rights to it for 7 years. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing.
It's crazy, and the royalties suck.
They do. We call it mailbox money.
Yeah,
because but you think for all the copies sold, you'd be rolling in dough, which is most certainly are not.
No, but it's still fun to read your own stuff. What do you the stories you chose for the third book? You chose for a reason. Feedback from other people, but why do you think they liked those, and why did you pick the ones you picked?
Well, there were some that were my favorites.
Yeah.
The one that stands out the most is about my dog Ace, and it was chapter 7 in the first book. And I tell people, when you buy the first book, don't read chapter 7 in public because you'll bawl your eyes out.
Oh, man.
And I do not like dead dog stories.
Yeah.
I don't do it. Yeah. I don't like it. There's one book that Knops is called Knops Hope, Knops Hope, N-O-P-S, Knops Hope. Knop was the name of the bird. He wasn't a bird dog. He was a sheep dog. And I wanted to read the book, and the guy told me, I said, but I'm not going to read it if the dog dies. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do an old Yeller thing, And he said, nope, the dog doesn't die. So I read the book, and he's right. The dog doesn't die. The handler does. So I didn't know what was worse.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, so this is the only story. I'm going to tell everybody here. This is the only story that I wrote about the dog passing away. And it's, to me, I cannot read it out loud today without choking up. So anyway, that story is in there.
Well,
there's got to be, and there's one in there about my wife. Somehow she got the impression none of my guns cost more than $200.
Yeah,
I have no idea how she got that impression. And so, and I was outed at a field trial when one of these guys saw me using one of my older guns, and he said, I would never take that out in the rain. And I said, oh, I'm going to clean it. I'll clean it up. No big deal. And my wife was standing there, and she said, oh, don't worry about it. None of his guns cost more than $200. Well, you know, I was outed on the spot. Anyway, so that a lot of people like that story and how it ended, and you know, things like that. So I'm just flipping through the book now, and there's one in there about my bird dog Bo winning a big field trial, and it's just the ins and outs of that trial and stuff. It's things that touched me and touched a lot of other people as well. So I really didn't have something to go by, say I'll do this because of that. It's just the ones I think that are most memorable to me. So,
well,
I've got one.
Go ahead.
Well, I've got one here called Whiskey.
That might be my favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about hunting in hunting in Wisconsin. And at the end of the day, my friend and I, Josh, we're sitting and recounting the day. We're still out in the North Woods. We're still on a gravel road, and we're sharing a libation. And a truck comes by with guns out each window, like they hunt.
Oh yeah.
And they stopped, and hunting rough grouse is what we're hunting. And so they stopped, and they said they started it. They said, "Hey, you want a beer?" And I said, "No, but we've got some whiskey." The truck shut down, the doors opened up, and they came over and sat down, and we poured them each. They had their own cans and bottles, whatever. And the story went on. Another four-wheeler came by, and they joined us. A logging truck came by, and they joined us.
Oh.
And pretty soon, we're having a party on the tailgate, and the sun's setting, and that's basically the gist of the story. And that had a pretty good ending too. It was just, stories like that and things that happen.
I love it.
The guy that was with me, Josh, he read the story. I sent it to him because he's in it. And he says, "How do you remember all that stuff?" And I said, "Josh, I don't know how I remember, but I can be driving an area and not be even thinking about it, and go by a draw and remember when I was there 15 years ago, what dog I was with, what the weather was like, and what happened." I said, "I have no idea how I do that, but I do it, and it works fine." So anyway,
I love it.
Yeah.
It's funny because, I have to do the same thing and then come home and write all that stuff. And now what I found the best memory jogger for me is making sure at least I snap a really bad photo of the spot or the person or the dog. Yeah. And that's enough. Pardon me. Right there. I'm reminded, though, and I've told others this story. First off, there's always a bottle in the back of the truck. Second off, campfires. We have created by hook or by crook a campfire tradition on opening weekend of chukar season that could have been just like yours. We're sitting there, and by the time we're done, we're eating everybody else's dinners, and they're drinking all the beer. And it was just people we'd never met before to a large degree, and then people who are 6 degrees separated from somebody else we know, who knows somebody's dog, who knows somebody's breeder, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that is, it's not why we go, but it's one of the other great reasons we do go. And I love that aspect of it. And that while you are having a fist fight with your dog in there, it might be a good time to take a moment here and acknowledge our sponsors. We'll be back with Randy Schultz, the author of Endless October 1, 2, and 3, and almost all of them in audio now. And we'll talk more bird hunting and maybe get some practical tips about traveling the hunting road coming up right after this. First off, of course, let me thank Pro Plan Sport dog food from Purina for keeping Flick healthy and well-functioning throughout the season. Yeah, we had so many long, hard days and long, hard weeks, but Flick was there for them all. And a lot of it is due to the nutrition that Flick got while he was in the field. And all season, of course. There's only one brand fueling the most sporting dog champions, and that's Pro Plan Sport dog food from Purina. Find out why by learning a little bit about the nutrition and the science behind it. Go to ProPlansport.com. And I belabor the point because it's absolutely true. You want to shoot better in one twist of the wrist? Change out your factory choke tubes for some TrulockChokes. You know, they've got just about everybody covered. All you got to do is go to TrulockChokes.com, page down to the choke identification tool, figure out what kind of gun, what kind of gauge, what kind of configuration, and then they will tell you what they have in stock. And let me remind you, if you're a side-by-side shooter, and you are looking for, what do I call it? Aesthetic. You want to preserve the aesthetics of your shotgun. Well, Scott Trulock promised me, and I'm promising you on his behalf, that if he doesn't have a flush mount set of choke tubes to keep that classic look in your side-by-side, he'll make a set. No extra charge. Learn more about what they've got to offer and how it's going to help you become a better shooter at TrulockChokes.com. And welcome back, Randy Schultz, to the Upland Nation podcast. Well, I wish I could spend as much time. You know, I love driving as much as I love hunting sometimes. But you have done so much of that. What would you take away from all the road stories and memories and experiences that you've had while hunting?
Well, I think that I think like you, a lot of times the journey, the trip, the drive is a lot of the hunt. Not just time-wise, but I just enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy sitting there and watching the country go by. And I think that taking care of the dogs on that journey is just critical for me.
Yeah.
And I have gone from kennels in the back of a pickup truck uncovered to Jones trailers.
Yeah.
And then into the back of the truck with a camper shell on it and slide outs. And finally, I've got dogs. I just took the back seat out of my F-250 and I've got crates in there. And I think that's probably the best that I've done over the years for the dogs. I have solved the air conditioning problem in the early year.
Yep.
And the heat problem, getting heat to them for later in the year, and the ride. What I didn't realize was if they're in the back of the truck, they're getting beat up. They are. You just can't make it soft enough. I guess you could put them on a 6-inch foam mattress, but they're right over the suspension on that truck.
Good point.
And most trucks don't have a soft suspension. And I had one bird dog, Ruby, that female Brittany, that she absolutely would not get in her crate. She would not do it. She'd fight me every time.
I don't blame her.
And finally, I don't blame her either. Finally, I opened up the back seat. Man, she would fly in there and lay down on the back seat.
Yeah.
And she was the first one. And then Cap did it. And then finally, I moved some dogs back in there, but it was space limited. So finally, I just realized I just took 4 bolts and that back seat came out.
Yep.
And I can get 3 intermediate kennels in there now. And with 3 bird dogs, it works great. So I took them out of the back, put them in the back seat, and everybody's happy. So I just really think that's the way to go. Now, if you got many more dogs than that, then you just have to make do. But I can put a heater in there at night, and if it goes down to below zero, I've just got electric heater in there that keeps it about 50, 60 degrees, and they're out of the weather and out of the wind, and it's just I really think that's the best thing for my dogs anyway, and it really worked well for me. But I tried everything. Those trailers are awesome, and I got the best you can get, and I think that in a way it's tough to keep them comfortable in there too.
Yeah.
Suspension wise, I'm talking about.
Well, they bounce around. They're light, so they bounce around, and
they change color.
You mean the interior?
They change color when you're driving those dirt two tracks in Montana. They all come out light gray.
Oh yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah,
you just can't keep the dust out. So
and the poor guys, if you think about it, and we joke about it in the RV world, they said, "Oh no, don't ever let anybody ride back there, or don't ever put your pets back there when you're driving." It's like a 6.0 earthquake, and I think that's true. But the other thing that nobody thinks about with a dog trailer, or even the canopy, which I use when I have to, the noise. It's so noisy back there.
Yeah, it is.
You're like you said, you're not doing the dog any favors. Other than that. I got to share one with you. So I travel this one highway quite a bit. It goes up and over the pass, and then it winds along this river, and then it goes back up over another pass, and then poof, we're to a place where on any given day you can find quail, huns, chukars, or pheasants. So every time I drive past this little place, it's not open. Finally, on the last day of the season, I had a great hun day. I'm driving home, and the open sign is on. I'm halfway home. I figure I'm good for one beer at Ben's Place, which is a little tiny bar in a grain bin on the side of the river. As far as I can tell, it's the first time I've ever been inside a grain bin, and that's the way to do it. Have a beer while you're there. So I bring that up because I'm like you. I try to embrace the travel aspect of it. In fact, I think I just wrote a piece for Upland Almanac on that subject. There's so much else to a hunting trip than the hunting. And that was the one that stuck in my mind. I would have been embarrassed to have driven past when the open sign was blinking at me. So, let's stick with the road thing for a minute, because you and I don't get to talk enough, and I want to learn something. You give us a great reason to put the dog boxes in the truck cab. What else about travel do you do for your dogs, or for your truck for that matter, that makes life a little bit easier?
Well, I think I've got a F-250, and it currently has 485,000 miles on it.
Well, so you're changing the oil a lot. I mean, that's a good thing.
Oh boy. Yeah, do tell. And it's expensive to maintain a truck to keep it going that long. Just stuff going on, but I take care of it. I do. Maintenance on that is constant, and there's just stuff that need changing that when you get that many miles, you don't realize it. But I'm trying to think. I have moved since I moved the dogs up to the front. I have a truck bed in the back. I mean, I have
literally a bed.
I have a bed back there.
Yeah.
I've got a 3-fold mattress. It's 6 inches thick. I've got a bedroll. I've got all the cooking supplies I need, and I can actually stay in my truck and camp. And I notice there's a lot of guys going to that now, and I don't think, for me at 75 years old, I'm not probably going to do that for 2 weeks. but I do like it when I travel because I can pull off into a rest area, climb into the back, and get into bed.
Yeah.
And get some sleep, some good sleep. And I really, really like that. I notice a lot of my friends are going to that now, and a younger man out that I hunt with in Wyoming is doing that now. And we're comparing notes, and we're kind of excited about next year, just going out and traveling Wyoming and, pulling over for the night, starting a campfire and going to bed in our own beds, in the backs of our trucks, and not having to worry about tent camping and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing I've done to my truck to help with travel.
Yeah.
I used to like, finding a motel, and, they're not the best motels. They're bird hunting motels.
Yeah.
And, when I started out, I could get one for $25 a night. Now it's rarely under $100. But when I said I got to do something to try to cut down the expense of just getting out there and back.
Mm-hmm.
Diesel fuel's expensive enough. So,
yeah.
But that really helps. That helps be able to climb back and have a comfortable night of sleep. Just off the side of the road if you want to, rest area, Walmart parking lot, whatever you want to use. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that too. So
well, the trend, like you said, is there. I don't care what you want to call it, whether it's van life or anything else. A lot of people are doing it, and I see the logic to it. And I remember the first time around when we all made it famous, when we could not afford anything else.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You sounded like you had another thought there, though.
Well, I ended up buying. I had a camper. It was about 30 feet long, and it was tow behind.
Oh yeah.
It weighed about 9,000 pounds, and I lugged that thing out and lugged it back. I did all the math in my head, and found out that it's cheaper for me to take the camper if I'm going to be gone longer than a week.
Yeah.
So. Which I was, every trip's 2 weeks at least. And so I ended up selling that, moving into the truck bed idea. And then I just now bought a very small camper.
Yep.
3,500 pounds, soaking wet. And so that may be sort of I'll be, maybe taking that. But there's something to be said for having a place where you can pull over, go to bed again in a regular bed, have a bathroom and a kitchen right there. You can make coffee in the morning, and brush your teeth and all that. Just walk out the door, jump in your truck, and take off. And so there's a lot to be said for that too.
Yeah.
But I think smaller is better than bigger in that regard.
Yeah. Well, we lived the same life as a couple, and eventually I decided to add a small trailer to the arsenal for that very reason. Yeah. So
do you still have that? You had a big truck.
Oh God!
It had a huge. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what it was, but it was beautiful. Do you still have that?
No, I've through all those. I've had several of those serious off-road capable camperized 4-wheel drive vans.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a beast.
But now I've got a big enough pickup truck to pull a big trailer if I want, and a small trailer when I like it, and it works out fine.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah.
Anybody who's pondering that concept, here's my one bit of advice, and that is there's a lot to be said for pulling something, parking it, and then being able to go somewhere else with your pulling vehicle. So you can you can headquarters somewhere, create a camp, and then go out hunting from there afterwards, and it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. And you're finding that again too. Let's talk about.
I'm noticing. Go ahead.
After you.
I'm noticing the trend is to smaller, lighter, more mobile, and less complicated.
Which is a hell of a way to run a life. So
absolutely.
I'm all for it. Simple is better. If you were to think about your hunting day, let's go. I take it all back. You've talked about field trials, hunt tests, that sort of thing. In your case, I think they're mainly field trials.
Right. Yeah.
You're still doing that?
I am. I've been doing it for 35 years, and I enjoy it. My venue that I use is the National Shoot to Retrieve.
Okay, all right.
And because it most closely resembles bird hunting.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a game. It's a game. They use pen raised quail, so it's not challenging. The shooting is not a major factor, other than you need to kill the bird so the dog can be scored on the retrieve.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy the camaraderie. I was just at a field trial last weekend, and I talked to the guy I was with, and I said, Keith, I've begun to realize that some of my longest and best friends I met and I still meet doing field trials.
Yeah.
These are guys that I've known for 35 years. And it's like, when I see them, it's just like we just take up where we left off,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which is the mark of a true best friend. Of course, not all of them are, and I've got friends I hunt with around the country too, of course. But, these guys I've known for so long, and so many different dogs, and, I can make a mistake in front of them and they'll rib me to death, but, it's not mean-spirited. It's, it's a fun organization. Any field trial organization, I think, should be like that, or then I'd question why I would do it. You know what I mean?
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's absolutely true. And I'll bet most of those people you see at the trials, you never hunt with.
No, I never hunt with them. I never do.
So it's fun. You make friends. There's the camaraderie that we're all looking for quite often. Not all the time, but mm-hmm. often. And how does it affect your hunting? Would you do it? Do you do it because your dog is a better bird hunter afterwards, or does that matter to you?
It does, and that particular venue rewards steadiness.
Yeah,
it rewards classiness. It rewards obedience. Mm-hmm. And those are three things that I think are absolutely required for a good day in the field bird hunting. For example, I tell people that if you want to look for a good bird dog puppy, a really good place to start is to go out to a field trial venue and look at the winners. Look at a female and a male that are just doing everything correctly, and then take a real hard look at those puppies. Yeah. And that is a good place just to start. It may not be what you want, but, choose a breed, go out in the venue that I use. All it has to be is a pointing breed. So we have all kinds of dogs, from red setters, which used to be called Irish setters, but they call them red setters. And they've gotten back into the field. Mm-hmm. Anything, any pointing breed can compete. And so you're going to see everything. And lately, in the last few years, the German Shorthairs have been taking over the world. Yep. And the same is to be said in the field trial world. They're just tremendous trial dogs and tremendous hunting dogs. And I have nothing against German Shorthair pointers, but the Britneys have been around forever, and they're sort of, everybody likes to rag on the Britneys, and I don't mind. Yeah. So I just say, well, let's go out and trial. Yeah. It's one of those things like, yeah, let's go. Talk's cheap. Let's go. And a lot of times I'll just get my butt handed to me, and a lot of times my dogs will be right up there and giving everybody fits. So I'm real happy with that. And, love it. It's all good nature. That's the whole thing about it. It's all good nature. So, well, that's good. They'll say, go ahead. They say a Brittany on point, you don't know which way, which end you're looking at, because that dog, which way is he pointing at, the judge would never say that, but sometimes I'll say, okay, if I know him really well, I'll say, look, Judge, I know which end is he's pointing on, and so we'll go from there, And,
okay. Yeah.
We just play with each other, but
No, but that one is grounded in truth. It happened on the second to last day of quail season this year.
Oh no!
I watched my friends Brittany off in the distance, and then I lost sight of him. Then I see something, and I'm looking at it, and I finally decide it probably is that dog, but I don't know which way he's looking while he's pointing. I had to climb 200 yards uphill to find him and figure out which end was the head and which end was the tail.
It always helps with that tail. It always helps on a long-tailed dog when they're sticking straight up.
Yeah.
That helps. So that's why pointers and setters are just beautiful in the field to me. So
I said to my friend who's got an English setter on the last day of the season, I said, if it wasn't for that tail, we wouldn't know where your dog was half the time out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Randy Schultz, you have traveled a lot. You have seen a lot of states. You've hunted a lot of ground, and much of that is public access or public ground of one sort or
Absolutely,
another. Yeah. One of the big things we talk about and write about on my end a lot is, trying to get the most out of a public ground, public access experience. Help us in that area, whether it's finding new places to go or timing or strategy. What have you learned that would help the rest of us?
I do a lot of pre-hunt investigation as far as to where to go. Now, I've been a lot of these places I've been to many, many times. But when I first go to a spot, that's why I like to hunt out west.
Yeah.
Arizona and New Mexico are about 85% public land. And in truth, if you can see it, you can hunt it.
Yeah.
You got to be careful, and that's why I use those mapping apps. One very, very famous one, of course, is I have it on my phone and on my iPad and everything else to make sure that I'm on public land. And so I know generally what's available when I get out there, and then I go look for habitat. And, Montana is the same way. They've got a wonderful program, a block management program that they open private land. And, North Dakota, they call it plots, private land open to sportsmen. And I think South Dakota is called the hunter walk-in areas. Every state's got a different name for it, but it's all similar. And I try to, if it's too close to the road, I kind of steer away from it.
Yeah.
Because most guys aren't going to walk more than 100 yards. I just stating a fact. They're going to get out of their truck. They're going to walk 100 yards. And if they don't see anything, they're going to go back to the truck and let's go find someplace else.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I like to go at least a half a mile and go to some place you can't see. You'd be surprised at how many areas that I have found that have been absolute gold mines that are about a half mile from the truck and over the top of a hill and down the other side. And the birds will just be fantastic. And every state's kind of different. In South Dakota, the hunting pressure is probably worse than any state I go to. They're just so famous, and they've got a great PR department too. So it's just a tremendous income for the state for all the hunters that come in there. But when you get down into the grasslands, it all looks the same. Rolling grassy hills. And there are no real benchmarks. There's nothing to really, no sloughs. It's just acres and acres and acres of knee-high grass. And so you just really have to have in your mind, what are these prairie chickens looking for? And for prairie chickens, of course, they eat in the crops and they roost in the grass. And if you know the life cycle or the daily cycle of the prairie chickens, you can pretty well figure out where they're going to be, or to a large extent. And of course, in pheasant, you're always looking for those sloughs, and they're going to be down there in the sloughs on a windy day. A windy day really localizes birds. They'll be down out of the wind. They hate the wind because they can't hear the hawks. They can't see the hawks coming to them. They can't hear the ground predators sneaking up on them, and so they'll get down in those bushy sloughs, man. And I had a guy that had a flushing dog, English cocker, which I love English cockers. And what we would do is we'd get on either side of a slough that we think we had sharp-tailed grouse in it, and we'd turn Buddy loose. And Buddy, anything that was in that slough was coming out. Could be deer, could be sharp-tail, could be skunks, could be anything was coming out. And he and I would just walk on either side of that slough, and it was just so much fun. So, if you have that knowledge of what to look for, you can really increase your chances. And like I said, every state's different. I'm still learning Wyoming. I don't have any tips for Wyoming because we hunt out in an area, like I said, that is just so far out. Of course, everywhere in Wyoming's so far out. But, in Arizona and New Mexico, those quail, I remember the best day I ever had in quail in New Mexico was 15 coveys, 8 over one dog and 7 over the other dog. And I just picked a wash, and the wash had big trees, and out there are big trees about 10 feet tall.
Yep.
And that's where all the birds were. They were down in that wash. And I would just walk up the wash, and the dogs would work each side. And I had just the best quail hunting day I've probably ever had. For a walking hunter, 15 coveys is a lot.
Oh, man.
For me.
That's a good season for some people.
That is, it's awesome. And I know guys have bigger days than that. That's just me. But that's probably one of the best. I did have 17 coveys in Oklahoma one time on bobwhites, and that was another amazing day. But when the more you learn about the bird itself, what that bird wants, whatever bird it is, the luckier or the more successful you're going to be hunting it. And so I try to study up on every bird I go, and I do a lot of pre-hunt study. And I know where I'm going pretty much to start. And it's like any other plan, no plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? When I get out there, my plan all goes to the winds, and I may end up in a totally different area. But I always go out with an eye towards where I'm headed.
Well, but that is a lesson in and of itself, and you lived it. I mean, literally as a Navy flyer, but it's true in almost every situation. Don't stick to the plan just because it's the plan. Things change. Whether it's, like you said, the remnants of a hailstorm or anything else, that might be
and don't stay with the same areas year after year.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a real problem for me because I remember this dog did so well here. I've got to hunt that place, or this, I've got to go over here and hunt this. I've got to hunt that, and then a week goes by and I realize I've not covered 1 foot of new ground. Yeah. So I've got to force myself to go out and tell myself, for the next 2 days, I'm not going to hunt anywhere I've hunted before. In Montana, I drove by a place that was state land, which is public. And I drove by and I looked at it and I said, I don't know. I ended up not going there. But then a friend called me and he said, Randy, I'm here. Where should I go? And I said, well, I haven't been there, but I looked at a piece of state land that looked pretty good to me. And he called me back about 2 hours later. He said, well, I limited out the first cast. And I'm like, oh, rats, man. I should have gone there. So, that's public land. That's state land. And it just didn't look very good from the road. But once he got away from the road, he just started finding birds. And that's just very, very common. Very common. Don't give up on it.
Yeah, you're right. And you just mentioned something that reminded me. Sometimes, first off, you're absolutely right. It may not be something you can see from the road. That's the joy of one of those online mapping apps. You can look beyond all that, over the hill, etc. The other thing is, depending on the time of day, the time of year, or anything else, the second best kind of habitat might be where all the birds went because they got chased there by all the folks poking around in the first best kind of habitat.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you, we could go on and on and on. We will do it again soon, but in the meanwhile, I'm inspired. I hope everybody who's listening is inspired. Randy Schultz, if we want to learn more about you, we'll go to Randy Schultz on Facebook, or we'll go to abirdhuntersthoughts.com for more literary aspects of what you're doing and get some samples of the book there. It's always fun. It's been a long time since we've seen each other in person, somewhere out in Idaho, I think it was. But we will cross paths. Your timing and my timing in Montana this coming season might be perfect. So until we talk or meet again, Randy Schultz, thanks so much for being part of the Upland Nation podcast.
Scott, it was a pleasure as always, and good hunting to you, my friend.
Okay, take care and have a great off season.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
And the rest of you, don't go away, because we've still got our Fix It segment, and that will be covering the hardest shot I took too many times this year, and hoping to help you if you have the same challenge in the field or maybe even at the Clays range. It'll be coming up after a quick word from Mid-Valley. Speaking of shooting, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School. MidValleyClays.com is where you acquaint yourself with all the instruction available there, right there in Western Oregon if you're driving through. Or you can shoot a round of just about any clay game we've ever seen, and that's kind of cool as well. And especially if you're shopping for a new Browning shotgun. Dave Fiedler is the guru when it comes to that. He's a hunter, he's a pro shooter, and the guy knows his Brownings. So if you're looking for something that may be a little bit harder to find, or if you just want to shop, play the field as it were, give Dave a call. Get the number at midvalleyclays.com and get the search started, especially if you're looking for a sub-gauge gun. Learn more about everything they have to offer, including Browning shotguns, at midvalleyclays.com. Well, let's try and fix your shooting now that you can ruminate on all the misses. Yeah, I do it too. Yeah, in fact, everybody does. They just won't admit it. If you want to fix one aspect of your shooting and you've tried everything else, changing your style, changing the gun, all of that, on hard crossing shots, right to left, left to right, it doesn't matter, when all else fails, go to the range and try some of this, and then do your best to remember to try it in the field as well. Yes, practice your gun mount, slow motion and all of that. But those crossing shots are our nemesis for a couple reasons. The first is because no matter what style you're shooting, they require, quote, lead, unquote. We do need to put the shot string in front of where the bird is. We've got to put it where it will be. Now, if you're using the pull-through or the sustained lead method, you've got that all figured out and maybe it works. But here's the challenge. You got a line of hunters, you're walking through a cut cornfield, and the bird gets up 4 hunters over and it's crossing hard from right to left. Well, when it's your turn, you've got that hard crosser and you're swinging your hips only so far, and then that's it. So many things can go wrong. How about making it less of a crosser and more of an incoming or a going away shot? Yeah, you know where the bird's going. Adjust your feet just like a sporting clays champion, a little bit to one side or the other so that you're shooting a little bit more of a straightaway than you are a crossing shot. Don't worry, your shot string will always catch up. Your shot is coming out of the muzzle at about 800 miles per hour. The bird, on a good day with a tailwind, is going 45, and that's for the fastest game bird. You'll catch that bird. Adjust your footing so that it's less of a crosser and more of a going away or an incoming shot. See if it works for you. I'll report back after next pheasant season. Well, that's the end of the show for today. Thank you, Randy Schultz, for so much information and inspiration. Some great practical tips and then a lot of wonderful reasons for us to go again, including celebrating. You want to learn more about Randy, go to Randy Schultz on Facebook or go to his blog, abirdhuntersthoughts.com. If you will please leave a rating or a review, you would be doing everybody a big favor. That's how we grow. People see that and come on over and join the Upland Nation. And thank you for the support of all our sponsors who make this all possible. Purina Pro Plan Sport Dog Food, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes Tubes, Pointer Shotguns, Sage and Breaker Gun Care Products, and CableGangz Stakeout Systems. Sure enjoyed our chat with Randy. I hope you did too. Thanks so much for all your participation, and I will see you at the range. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening to the Upland Nation Podcast.